Hello and welcome to another episode of Agree to Disagree on Zoom. I am Aidan Shard, joined by Noah Schwartz, Jack Acello, and Dean Gutic. Dean, did that sound right?
You good.
So we got a big show for you today because there's a lot of stuff that has happened recently. But I think we can't start with anything other than possibly the biggest sports news in the past 3 months. The richest contract in not just NFL history, in sports history.
In North
Pat
America.
Mahomes has signed a 10-year extension worth $450 million. And what was it? Up to $503 million.
Yes.
Incentives?
It's actually it's updated now to 503 mil. So half a billion.
Half a billion is the deal. I thought that was with incentives.
477 mil guaranteed.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's mind-boggling.
I retire right now.
You guys remember when Kirk Cousins signed that mega deal with the Vikings and we were like, wow, that's big.
Yeah, this absolutely makes it look it's like an iPhone 12 and an iPhone 3S, with Kirk Cousins' deal being the iPhone 3S and Pat Mahomes' deal being like the iPhone 12.
I do genuinely think that this is a game changer for NFL contracts. The fact that there's a crazy amount of guaranteed money in it, but also it's a 10-year deal. You don't see that very much in the NFL, even at the quarterback position.
But you know what, Aidan? I just think that, and maybe there are some exceptions with this, maybe a guy like Lamar Jackson, possibly Deshaun Watson, but I really don't know if this can set the new standard for NFL contracts, because the point is everybody is nowhere near to the level that Patrick Mahomes is. He's on a different scale than everybody else. He's playing at a level that's just not comparable to any other quarterback or any other player in the NFL right now. I just don't see other guys getting anywhere this kind of money, anywhere this kind of length on their contract, just because I don't think anybody's worth anything close to what Patrick Mahomes is worth. Even the best players, Russell Wilson, Lamar, other guys like that, they're not Patrick Mahomes, and everybody knows that.
Yeah. But also, I want to just clarify. He absolutely deserves this. So you said it's $503 million?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. So how much? So what is it? What is that? Like around $50 million per year?
That's just about $50 million a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only downside that could be to this, obviously I love Pat Mahomes. He absolutely deserves every penny he's getting. Just the only downside for the Chiefs is they're not gonna for the next 10 years. They're not gonna have a lot of money to spend if they need to. Like say they're like a few pieces away from a Super Bowl.
I don't think
they have to draft exceptionally well for the next decade.
They also, I think, crafted it in such a way that it doesn't take like an exceptionally massive hit to the salary cap.
Yep.
So it takes off less than you would expect. It's still a lot. It's a $50 million per year deal, but it's not as much as you would expect from a $50 million. I think I read that on.
Yeah, I read the same thing, and I also think that other teams maybe would be more afraid to do something like this if they didn't have people drafting and making the trades and the signings that they trust. Brett Veach is one of the best general managers in football. He has Andy Reid to help him. He's probably the best offensive coach any of us have seen in the last 15, 20 years. He's phenomenal. And when you have those two guys running your franchise near the top, there's not as much risk in doing a deal like this, because you know that those guys can get the other players around them to fit and to build a Super Bowl contender, even if you don't have an enormous amount of money to spend on a yearly basis in free agency. And you can just draft well, and you can add guys on smaller contracts that maybe you didn't think could contribute the way that they will. So when you have guys like that running your franchise, it's not as big of a risk as if you had guys who are more incompetent or have less job security, stuff like that.
For sure.
You
and
have a guy like Andy Reid, who's an offensive guru, who's a huge quarterback guy, who's a quarterback guru. So Pat Mahomes, some will say it's an overpay, but for him it's not. Pat Mahomes is his own tier. He's his own level. He deserves that any other player. But now this will, see like, are guys like Deshaun Watson going to get paid, which he deserves, but not as much. Are guys like Dak Prescott, who doesn't deserve it, is going to get paid.
Yeah, not like this. Nobody's going to get paid like this.
No,
like you
10
said.
years is unheard of in the NFL.
there
This is unheard
definitely
of,
are
right?
not that many players who deserve a $50 million a year deal, but the idea of this kind of deal, of a long-term deal, that's a lot of guaranteed money, I think this is going to stick much more now that it's with a player with like Pat Mahomes rather than a player like Kirk Cousins, because when that deal happened and it was, what was it, all guaranteed?
Yeah, it was all guaranteed.
People were talking about how this is going to be a game changer. This is going to make NFL players get so much more guaranteed money. I think now that's going to happen because Pat Mahomes is a significantly better player than Kirk Cousins, and people are going to say, well, if they can do that with their best player, we can do that with our best player. And it's just a way of, whether or not Patrick Mahomes keeps up the pace that he's at right now, it's just a way of ensuring that you're going to have at least a good quarterback for the next 12 years. And then the other thing I wanted to say, like you guys were talking about, now the Chiefs definitely have to be concerned with how much money they can spend on other players. But I think the Chiefs are about to become the new Patriots.
Yeah, in that kind of sense, like they always draft people and then they just replace.
There's that, but also, the Patriots have gotten, especially over the last 10 years, the reason they were able to do so well is because they were able to take veteran players who were really good, who were looking for a ring, to come into New England, to take a pay cut, and just play a season or two with the team and then leave. And the Chiefs are going to be able to do that now because those players wanted the chance to play with Tom Brady and get a ring. Now players are going to want the chance to play with Pat Mahomes and get a ring. Like Darrelle Revis wasn't making as much money as he should have when he played with the Patriots. Even Tom Brady and Gronk and Edelman and Amendola, not all of them are to the same caliber, but they were taking significant pay cuts just to stay on that team and make rings.
Yeah,
sorry,
but I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also disagree. I disagree with you on one point in that. I agree with you that definitely veterans want to come in and play with them. I agree with that part. The part I disagree with, the biggest difference, though, is that Tom Brady also gave up salary in order to make his team better.
True.
Yes.
Pat
But I think now,
in that sense, it's going to be the Patriots, because I think is a major difference.
But like,
I get the idea of what you're
here's
saying.
what I think. I mean, Travis Kelce's arguably the best, maybe second best tight end in the league right now. Is he gonna? And he's due for a payday. What, next year, right? Is he gonna?
Yeah,
As soon as he can get one, he's taking it.
But also,
is he going to take that massive payday that a bunch of teams are going to offer him, or is he going to opt to stay with the team that he knows he can win in and take a pay cut?
Yeah.
It's going to come down to players like him, not players like Pat Mahomes.
That's the problem.
Now, though, they're going to have to make some choices, the Chiefs particularly. Like you said, Travis Kelce's contract is coming up. I'm not sure. Did Tyreek Hill still has to get paid, right?
No, he was paid, but Chris Jones is the big one, Jack.
Yeah, Chris Jones. Yeah, that's what I was going to, after Tyreek Hill, I was going to get to him. Are they going to be able to afford another massive contract? They definitely can't afford two, I think.
I don't think they're going to need to, because other players are going to say, I'm going to win on this team. I don't need the money.
Here's the thing: the Chiefs are in like a pick your poison situation. Like Travis Kelce, take the payday or take the massive pay cut. And with a huge contract like this, it's going to impact their salary cap. But there's also, like Aidan said, there's going to be veteran players that are going to still want to win for the Chiefs and play for the Chiefs and chase that ring. As long as they get the opportunity to play on the same team that Andy Reid coaches, and that mainly the same team that Pat Mahomes plays on, they're going to want to go out there and play with them.
And one more thing I want to point out. You guys mentioned, guys going to play with Mahomes to win championships. It's not just Mahomes. Why were some defensive players so willing to go to the Patriots over the years? Because they wanted to have a scheme advantage every single week with Belichick. When you play for Andy Reid, especially on offense, you're going to have a scheme advantage every single week over the opposing team's defense because he is just so smart and can scheme so well. If they can bring in a veteran offensive lineman that know what they're doing, if they can bring in veteran weapons and know what they're doing, even if they can't keep a guy like Kelce or they can't keep Tyreek Hill or some of their other more explosive players for the long term, just the fact that they have Andy Reid and they have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes who can execute so well in any type of offense, they're going to win games just based off of that because they're so smartly coached by Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator.
They have that shootout type of offense that also wins them those games.
Right.
I also think they're going to, they're going to take guys like now I can't think of any names, like Amari Cooper, Odell, who they've gotten paid, they've gotten big salaries, they've gotten big contracts, but they haven't won. So once those contracts are up, will they be willing to go to the Chiefs for less money, but get that ring and then go out and get more money again? Who knows?
Possibly, but also now I completely agree with what Noah said, that they'll want to come play for them. And the biggest thing, I wasn't even thinking about this. Like, even if you aren't able to spend as much money, Pat Mahomes is one of those quarterbacks that is always going to elevate your team. You're always a playoff contender as long as he's there. So that's the biggest difference.
Pat Mahomes will make the guys around him better, and that's what's that's what's
last
key.
year when they had to last year, I think 1 week, I think Tyreek Hill and Watkins were both out. I think their receivers were I think what's his name? I know Pringle and
Robinson.
Robinson had a good week.
Yeah, Robinson. Yeah, I remember his name, Robinson, Demarcus Robinson. Yeah, like those guys aren't anything special, but he elevates them. And the other biggest thing, well, the one point I disagree with you, like you said, obviously they're going to want to play for Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. The one thing that could be concerning, though, is Andy Reid, I don't think will be around for obviously the full 10-year contract. I think, well, he's up there in age. I don't know how many more years he wants to coach. Obviously, I want him to stay, coach as long as you want, as long as you're happy. Like, how many more years can you see him coaching?
Quite a few. I think as long as Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, there's nothing better for him to do than win Super Bowls.
AFC West fans are punching the air right now.
And now Brady's gone.
Exactly.
Oh, you got.
Think about how long Greg Popovich coached. Greg Popovich is old. He's coached because Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan were on his team for years. Why is Bill Belichick still coaching? Because he's got the best players. Why is Mike Krzyzewski still coaching? He's up there in age. He's got the best players. I know Andy's older, but he spent all this time in Philly. He spent all these years in Kansas City without any rings. Now he's got one. He's got the best player in the league. Go for it. No, I understand. I understand that point. I just think that while you have this great team around you, go for it and try to win as many as you can over the the tenure that you've got.
Yeah. Like Greg Popovich, like he started coaching with Duncan and Parker. Like he just started coaching with that when they came up. He didn't already coach 20 years.
No, I know.
That's but I get your point.
So, who do you guys think, now that Mahomes has gotten his payday, who is due? Noah, who do you got? Who's due for their payday?
In the quarterback market?
Let's go with quarterbacks. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I think that Deshaun Watson is going to finish this offseason with a contract. I can't see him heading into the season without one. He's too good of a player. He's too important to the Houston Texans. And after trading DeAndre Hopkins, they lost their franchise face along with J.J. Watt still there. But on offense, they need a guy to lead them, and Deshaun's done that in every single way possible his first 3 seasons. So you got to pay him. And then after that, I don't know. Lamar Jackson's in a year from now, but Dak Prescott's the big one, right? And I think you guys will get to it, but Dak was looking for $45 million a season, and he's nowhere near what Mahomes is. So I think he's really an interesting case because all of a sudden his market now drops dramatically if Mahomes only makes $50 million a season, let's say, and Dak's not $45 million a year if he's only worth 50. So I think that's really interesting because I think there's going to be a massive discrepancy in what the Cowboys think he's worth and what Dak thinks he's worth. And that they've already had that problem through the last few months, but especially now, I think there's going to be some rift going on between the two sides.
There's actually a report going out right now, according to a Cowboys source. Now, since Mahomes got the deal, that the source says that you could be sure that Dak's camp will not settle for anything less than $40 million a year.
Yeah, no, you're crazy. Dak is going to Jerry World now, and he is demanding more than Pat Mahomes because his greatness is just.
But he's never going to get $50 million from anybody.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Dak is not worth.
Never.
Dak is maybe worth $15 million a year. That's my opinion.
No, even if he's worth 25 or 30 million a season.
2025.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Even if he's worth 30, let's say, he's just not Patrick Mahomes, and nobody from any statistical way can make that argument. Not even the Cowboy fans, like the biggest Cowboy fans in the world, can make that argument. Just look at the numbers, look at the winning percentage, look at all the things that Mahomes has done. He's dominated the league since his first game. Dak Prescott's been more up and down. He wasn't very good last year. Let's just be honest about it.
After those first 3 games, when they were Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll say the next guy that deserves a big contract is obviously, to me, is Deshaun Watson. I like Deshaun Watson better than Lamar Jackson. I think he's not as good of a runner, but I think he's a good enough runner, and he's a much, much better passer. And I just think whenever you need, like Lamar Jackson, he's had some poor performances in the playoffs. I think he's going to fix that in his years. He just has to gain experience. But Deshaun Watson's shown so far that he can definitely win in the playoffs. Sorry, Dean. Those plays he made against the Bills were just incredible. I think he's always when he has the ball in his hands, anything can happen. And I think if it wasn't for Bill O'Brien, who knows? Maybe they would have been in the AFC Championship.
It's okay. Bill O'Brien will trade him for a 7th round pick. Anyway,
True.
That's what I said to you earlier today. That was a direct quote.
So I think for quarterback Deshaun Watson, I have two. I'm going to go one with outside of quarterback. So I think Deshaun Watson's due for a payday next. Of course, you got guys like Dak and Lamar lining up, but I think Deshaun has to be the next one. Apparently, they're in no hurry for him to get a new contract, but I believe he deserves a payday ASAP. And I'm going to go with a little surprise here, Aidan, a little curveball. I'm going to go with, and this is going to be very biased and controversial. Tre'Davious White deserves a payday on defense.
No, I definitely agree. I think he's due for some money, and also the Bills are going to want to keep him around. Like he's a great player.
Also, now I just want to say, now Jamal Adams, I don't think he can be compared to Pat Mahomes because I don't think anyone's paying you $50 million. But
I would say, in terms of quarterbacks, right? I mean, Deshaun Watson's obviously next up, but I want to take a little bit of a also for a little bit of a curveball. Because I can't debate with Deshaun Watson, but
if you say Taysom Hill, I'm gonna just leave the Zoom right now.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. No, I can say I think last year's Rookie of the Year is gonna get some money going his way. Kyler Murray.
Yeah, a couple of years. Yeah,
I think that he's one of the most exciting players in the league right now to watch. He's he's a faster, smaller Lamar Jackson. He can't throw as well as Lamar, but I think his time's coming. He's got a good arm. He's got great legs, and in just one season, we saw what he did to the worst team in the league. He made them maybe not into contenders.
He's got some good weapons. I want to see what he can do.
Yeah, especially now that he has Hopkins, it's going to be really, really fun to watch the Cardinals this season. They are my team to watch.
Just one other thing before I think we're going to move on probably in a few minutes. Just on the note of quarterbacks, we know Deshaun Watson's getting paid. We know Lamar Jackson's getting paid. He's an MVP. This upcoming season, though, is a really interesting one to watch with other quarterbacks and whether they get paid because there are a lot of them. Even Mitch Trubisky, like guys like him, is he good enough to get a contract in a year from now? I don't know. Sam Darnold is a really interesting case. Baker Mayfield is an even more interesting case.
Allen too.
Josh Allen's another one. All of those guys, they're all starters, but we don't know how good they are yet. Are they stars? Are they just average quarterbacks? What are they?
And are teams willing to pay that much money for them? Like Josh Allen is a good player. He's a very good quarterback, I think. But is he good enough for the Bills to say, this is the direction we want to stay going in?
Exactly.
Or do we want to
make or break year for Josh Allen?
I think for all of those,
I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Go ahead, Jack.
What?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna make a little bit of a bold prediction here. Like you said, all of them, like Mayfield, Darnold, Allen. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I don't think any of them are going to in the next offseason. I don't think any of them are going to get extensions. I think they're all going to either play another year, and then they'll get them, or they can get the 5th-year options. I don't know. I feel like none of them have earned it yet. You guys agree with that? Actually, Allen's earned it. I'll say Allen.
I think this is going to be a big year. Whatever happens, I think this is going to be a big year for those 2018 first-rounders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Except for Lamar.
Yeah, he's already made it.
Yeah.
So we are going to move on to a little bit of a different sport. Earlier today, the MLB announced the official schedule for the 2020 season. So, obviously it's headlined with a great game. Dean, tell us about it. Tell us what you think.
Wait, what?
What do you think about the opener of the 2020 season?
Yankees Nationals, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I wonder what the over and under is going to be for the strikeouts thrown between Garrett Cole and I think it's Max Scherzer that's going to be starting.
I would
Correct?
assume.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm pretty excited for baseball to come back. Except I'm not excited to watch my team. We've already been over this. I don't want to go over it. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's move on to the baseball. More baseball fans. Aidan, thank you very much for that. At least you could say your team's a lot more watchable than this one.
Red Sox are always
I think
watchable.
all of our teams are.
No.
So
definitely.
I'll discuss the schedule a little bit.
Yeah, go.
Look, I think the schedule this year is really strange. Obviously, it's a lot more watered down in terms of the teams you're playing. There's not much diversity in who you're actually going to be facing all season. You're only facing 9 other teams, so it's hard to judge and say, well, this team's schedule is way harder than this team's, just because we don't know who's going to be good or not good in a 60-game season. So many things could happen when it's so short. But I do look at the 2 coastal divisions, and I look at the NL, the two Eastern divisions and the 2 Western divisions, and I think to myself, wow, these divisions are way tougher than the Central. I picked the Cardinals to win the World Series, but I don't think they're a great team. I just think they're a great playoff team with experience. But when you've got the Yankees and the Rays and the Phillies and the Mets and the Nationals and the Atlanta on one side, and then you got the Dodgers, right? You got the Dodgers and the Angels. And all those teams on the Western side, it's tough.
On the Western side, hearing some feedback on when Noah's talking.
Yeah, I hear myself talking too. Do you guys hear that?
What a weird echo.
God, now I think it sounded like it was coming from Jack. Anyways.
Oh. Anyway, yeah. The point is just the two coastal divisions to me seem a lot harder, and I think those teams will struggle more early on than the Central teams.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
I'm really interested to watch a few big games. Obviously Dodgers Astros. I think I read there's going to be much harsher punishments, and there's big restrictions on brawls. They obviously don't want those to happen. So what's going to happen if any Dodgers pitchers decide to plunk the Astros? But that's going to be a big game. Sorry, noise just started coming from my AC. Then, obviously Red Sox Yankees, that's always a great game. I think it's going to be especially interesting this year, just with all the stuff that's happened in the off season. Of course, Nationals Yankees, that's going to be a great series. There's a lot of games that are going to be fun to watch.
I just want to say, you say all the games are going to be great, and I hope the baseball is great too. But based on how baseball's handled this COVID testing thing the last 3-4 days, I'm not so sure we're going to even reach that point. I'm still skeptical. Baseball didn't give out tests to a bunch of teams, and they weren't getting the results back in time, and it led to some teams canceling their workouts today because they don't know who's sick or healthy and who's not. And it just seems like Rob Manfred just drops the ball at every turn. I'm just a little nervous that at some point a lot of these star players are just going to say, I'm done with this. I don't need this for this year. We've already seen Nick Markakis and David Price and other guys say they want out, and Ryan Zimmerman. So are more guys going to do that? Is it going to reach a point where they just can't get a season because we don't know, what the testing situation is going to be like? Are guys going to be sick with their teammates? We don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I'm just a little skeptical on that. Baseball drops the ball again.
I mean, it's Rob Manfred.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes me concerned that they're not going to get to the baseball season. I also have it with the NBA. As more and more positive tests come back, it just makes me nervous that they're not going to start up. I just want it to get here, just with all sports. I just want it just to start. That way it's back. But yeah, I agree with you. Rob Manfred hasn't done a good job at this in terms of testing. So in terms of schedule, I like that. What?
If we can make it 2.5 weeks, we got sports.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, yeah. The Mets, they got a tough. They got to play the Braves in six out of the first 10 games. Pretty
Brutal.
sure. Or
Brutal.
7. No, they have a 4-game series. 7 out of the first 10. The other 3 are against the Red Sox, Aidan. So that's going to be brutal. They really got to get off to a quick start. Yeah.
I'm calling it now. Red
What?
Sox, their record 60-0.
I see it.
0-60 over here.
Chris Davis, MVP. It's a shortened season.
Oh yeah, with the .000 batting average, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think he's so good. No, don't you think we should trade Pete Alonso for Chris Davis straight up?
Absolutely. Let's just do it right now.
yes.
I think that'd be.
I want to just get back to some of the star players again.
Yeah, go for
So,
it.
did you guys hear about Mike Trout? I know Mike Trout's having a baby later this summer apparently, and he's concerned about playing and whether he wants to actually come back and go through with this. That's one of the guys who really worry me. Like, if the best baseball player that I've ever seen in my lifetime doesn't want to show up for a season, how can you have a season? And I'm still nervous. I think basketball's in a much better spot. We've talked about guys that have left, whether it be Avery Bradley or Davis Bertans or whoever's not going to be playing. But when you take a guy as important to the game as a whole as Mike Trout, I mean, the guy's the best baseball player that any of us have ever watched.
Yeah.
To take him away from the season, especially when they now are a lot better than they have been in recent years with Anthony Rendon coming. Can baseball even survive something like this? I'm just really, really skeptical. By the day when I hear about what's going on, I just get more and more worried for this season. I really do.
I mean, I think it'll survive. It'll survive the season for sure. The question is, this was kind of, I think, the season that the MLB was going to get a lot more fans. I mean, baseball had been getting a lot more, interesting to non-fans with, there's more home runs because the MLB definitely isn't juicing the balls. And then with the cheating scandals the past 2 years, I think it, raised a lot of publicity and all that stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how, or it was going to be really interesting to watch how all that happened. But now they kind of blew all that, and they didn't blow it, but a lot of stuff happened.
No, they blew it.
They also blew it. And so, this is definitely going to hurt them in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree, this season pretty much has an asterisk on it.
100%. 60 games cannot determine a playoff team. Compared to 162 games, 100-plus games missing.
I don't consider the NBA and the NHL. I don't consider that being having an asterisk to it, because they basically played most of the season and they're doing it the best they can. This is not they're starting over, and it's not like they didn't play. Baseball, any team can sneak into the playoffs if they're somewhat decent.
Yeah.
San Diego Padres, for example.
So.
Yeah.
All right, you want to move on to the big
definitely
political topic of the week?
So there's been a lot of talk recently. So for those of you who don't know, a few days ago, I don't remember. Do you guys remember what day it was?
I think it was Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Yeah, I was gonna say Thursday.
Thursday night. Yeah. FedEx announced that they were asking the Washington Redskins to change their name, and that's big because FedEx pays $205 million, right, to be the sponsor or the main sponsor of the Redskins stadium. And then shortly after that, Nike pulled all Redskins merch from their website. And since then, the Redskins have made an announcement saying that they are going to look into changing their name. I saw this a few hours ago. Yesterday, there are 3 minority owners of the Redskins who are people of color, who stand with the people of color and say that they want to change the name, that they would consider selling their shares in the team. They make up about 40% of the team.
I also heard it's because they don't want to do a partnership with Dan Snyder anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, but
I mean, can't blame him. Dan Snyder's one of the worst owners in professional sports.
Besides James Dolan, I consider Dan Snyder the worst owner in sports. So it doesn't surprise me. And the only reason I think he's even considering this is because he knows he's going to lose a lot of money because like his FedEx is their biggest sponsor, and they're thinking of walking if they don't change the name. So that's the biggest reason. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Redskins, when it just went to the Redskins, not for the other teams.
So are you guys all in favor of it?
Oh, of course.
100%.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like, my high school just changed the name from the Indians. They're going to pick a new mascot for this school year. They just did that about a week or two ago. And, like, I don't know. It's not something that I'm against, but it's not something I've always had a strong opinion on, just because I just feel like, and I understand that people are offended by the nickname, but I've always thought, well, you know, the people that actually use the nickname and are the ones that are, you know, wearing it on their jerseys or whatever, they're not trying to be, you know, racist or offensive to anybody that actually is Native American or anything. So I've never really thought that it's like a thing that I would do if I was in that position. But as I'm learning more about it, and as more teams and more organizations are opposing it, I'm starting to change my stance a little bit, which I'm happy about because I think it's the right way to go. And I think it's definitely time for it to happen if it's going to happen. Definitely now is the time to do so. But it's never been like my thing, so to speak. But I think now is the right time. So I'm definitely okay with it.
I definitely see what you mean. I think that it's really important to draw the distinction between a few different names. Like the names that in pro sports that have been thrown around outside of the Redskins are the Indians, the Braves, and the Chiefs, who all have, you know, names that could be deemed offensive. But, you know, I think that Redskins is just on a completely different level. It's 100%. So significantly worse than calling it the Indians or the Braves or the Chiefs. And just that as well as the logo that they have, I think, you know, it's one thing to call for, like, I can see where you're coming from, Noah, in terms of, you know, teams like the Indians, but in terms of the Redskins, I think it's way worse, and it's inexcusable that we've let it slide this long.
Here's the thing with Redskins. Redskins is pretty much correct me if I'm mistaken, a derogatory term against Native Americans. Yeah. Redskins, and honestly, I think this is the right move for the Redskins, especially although this might have nothing to do with it. For a team that struggled for decades, I feel like it's time for a rebrand of the Redskins organization, you know, a change somewhere that, you know, you can open up opportunity for yourself and for this franchise. And what better time than now? And, you know, you look at other names like, you know, Indians, Chicago Blackhawks, Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Braves, like Aidan said. You know, there's at least some of these names also have a meaning behind it. Like, for example, the Chicago Blackhawks' meaning is honoring a tribe, Blackhawk, the Chief Blackhawk, you know, whereas Redskins is something completely different.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the Blackhawks were also one of those teams under fire. So, you know, suppose the Redskins do change their name, do you guys have any suggestions for Dan Snyder and the team?
Yes.
The Washington politicians.
No.
No?
I don't like. I actually heard a good one. I'll point it out. You guys know
that's pretty good.
The Harlem Globetrotters, how they always play the Washington Generals as their opponent that they just beat thousands of times in a row. Apparently, the Globetrotters were looking to potentially sell the rights of that team name to the Redskins to change their name to the Generals, which I think is actually kind of a cool name. Although the one thing about it is that if you're gonna go away from any sort of, I guess, political term like Redskins, where it's, you know, derogatory towards Native Americans, why would you go with Generals? That's also relating to war and other, you know, sort of like violence and things like that. So I don't know. I wouldn't think Generals is the best name, although it sounds kind of catchy to me and it has some history behind it.
I like it. I think the problem with the bigger problem with that is, like, if you go Generals, I feel like your color scheme also has to change to be like something like camo green, or, you know, the more army type colors. I don't think you can stick with the maroon and yellow, or if you do that, there are a lot of other names that they can change it to where you can just, like, stick with that color scheme, because I don't think they want to change that.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, I like the Washington Warriors, the Washington Red Tails.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about the Red Tails.
Even Washington Monuments, I heard, is actually not a bad name. I think
That's actually a good one.
it
Oh,
fits
that I
the
like.
description of Washington,
That's
D.C.
actually
I think
that's my new favorite. That's a really good one.
the one that I like the most is kind of paying homage to the old MLB team and becoming the Washington Senators.
Mm,
Ooh,
that's a good one. I like
that's my
that.
new favorite now. You just passed me.
I think that it would be really interesting to, first of all, there was the MLB team who they became the Twins, right? Was it the Senators?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring back an old team name, but also, you have the Nationals and the Capitals already, so you already have like an American, a governmental theme going on, and that's why
You have the Wizards.
The Generals would work too. Yeah, then you have the Wizards. But, and I
No,
don't
you're right.
think that
First
you would
time you're like,
necessarily
let's go back to Washington.
you also
Washington
wouldn't
Capitals,
necessarily
yeah,
need to
no.
change the color scheme. Although I do think it's interesting that the Wizards, the Capitals, and the Nationals are all red, white, and blue, and the Redskins are maroon and yellow.
Yeah, strange. So what do you guys think about the other teams? Do you think that the Cleveland Indians are next? It looks like they're going to be. But what would you say about Kansas City, about Atlanta? Do you think those teams are
In Chicago.
in Chicago are in need of a change, do you think they should? Do you think they will? What are you guys' thoughts on all that?
I think some of them would, like Dean said before, like the Blackhawks, it's honoring someone. Like I don't think that's necessary for them. I feel like they'll only do it if they're gonna lose money, not because I don't think anybody's like gonna be super annoyed if they don't. Unlike the Redskins.
I think it's mainly for business reasons.
Exactly.
In my opinion, I think all of them should change their names. That being said, I think it's more important for the Indians already made a big step a few years ago in changing their logo, which was really good. I think the Indians should change their name. And then in terms of the other team, or the other teams, I think the Blackhawks should just change their logo. I think you can keep the Blackhawk name if you don't have the logo that they have right now. And then the Chiefs and the Braves I think they should look into it. I think they should consider it, but it's not as urgent as the other ones to me.
And for those two teams, Aidan, they both do the tomahawk chop, right? The Chiefs and the Braves, that's their big chant. So
yeah,
I assume that's going to be eliminated too if the names are changed, or even if they're not changed, maybe they'll eliminate the chant entirely from the fan base and they'll stop doing it. I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't think you can possibly eliminate the tomahawk chop, at least from Arrowhead. I don't know enough about the Braves fan base to think about that, but the Chiefs fan base is insane.
Yeah.
Guys, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like at Knicks games. You can't sell the team. There's going to be security everywhere. If you start it, you're banned. You get thrown out.
I agree.
That's how they'll get rid of it.
I gotta agree with Aidan on this. I wouldn't mind if the Indians need a name change, although I'm have mixed reactions towards. I feel like the Blackhawks could keep their name. The Redskins, like I said, it's change that was overdue, but this is good for them. This change is good, and I feel like it's good for them to rebrand, especially for a struggling franchise, a team name that has a lot of controversy. Sometimes change is good, and for a change for a Redskins team is needed. You also got, they're not pro sport teams. Florida State Seminoles, San Diego State Aztecs who could also intrigue some noise, but it also makes me believe that, and this might be a little controversial, no one talks about the Chiefs name as much because they're winning. Because if you got a team like the Chiefs that's winning, you don't worry about it too much. Whereas
and also they're a likable franchise.
Yeah. Whereas if you get a team like someone else, then it becomes more worrisome.
Yeah,
that's true.
You guys think the Ithaca College Bombers should change their name?
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest, and I go to Ithaca, so I think I have the right to say this. To me, is not, I don't want to say the word hypocritical, but really strange to me that a lot of people in the Ithaca College community are so against having names like the Redskins and other ones. And I understand why, because they're derogatory and all that. But at the same time, our nickname is Bombers. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I feel like if you're going to say that other teams should change, then why not be more self-reflective and say that you should as well?
Yeah, I definitely think that is something we should consider it. Yeah. But also, yeah, or at least getting I don't know. It's just it seems wrong to have the name be
Yeah,
the
I,
Bombers.
Yeah.
I won't
Yeah.
buy clothes that say Bombers on them. I've
Yeah,
refused.
I
Like,
don't
I do
think it's
not
something-
own that.
The
Try
only
not
ones,
to.
the only ones I have are the athletic shirts that I wear underneath things.
Okay.
It's at a time like this, I feel like there's definitely time for change, especially with things now becoming more hectic, I think is the correct word for it.
And there's been an uprising in political, just big political movements over the past few months. I mean, like, not that it hasn't been important before, but it's just become much more important now.
Right.
Like, there's a reason the Redskins are considering changing their name now, and they weren't considering it 6 months ago.
Do you guys think they're going to get it done by the beginning of the season? Because I heard Ron Rivera say that he absolutely wants to have a new name by the beginning
I
of
sure
the
hope
season, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen by the beginning of next season, because think about it. They'd have to redo all jerseys and helmets. They'd have to completely change up the stadium, all that stuff. That's a lot of money to put into something that they've probably already completely invested in. I think for the start of the 2021 season is a good goal.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I also think that it would be too premature to do it for this year, just because you want to find a new nickname that works and there's something behind it that you can look at. I don't think that coming up with a name in 2 months and being able to talk to your fans and talk to your coaches and players and all the people that would be involved in making a decision like that, I don't see how you can do that in just a couple months.
Yeah. I think this year, keep for one more year, then next year, start the rebranding, change the color scheme, the name, the jerseys, the logo, the everything.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on from this topic unless you guys have any last remarks on it.
All right. So you want to get some winners and losers, and then hopefully Jack will rejoin us?
Yeah, let's hope we can get Jack back in here.
Okay. So my winner is Kansas City Chiefs fans, because how could you not be a huge winner as a Kansas City Chiefs fan today? They signed the best player in football, and the guy who I predict, and I'm putting this out there right now, so in 15 years you can thank me, he will be the greatest player undisputedly of all time in 15 years when he's done, or whenever he hangs it up. He will be the greatest quarterback to ever play.
I like that. That's wow. Aidan, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I got a loser, and I hate to make it political again, but my loser is President Trump. He made some comments about the Redskins. He's made some comments about Bubba Wallace. He's saying that the Redskins and the Indians, they should be proud of their names, and they should be representing strong teams, not weak teams who change their names. I just think that is the hottest of takes and also wrong. And then in terms of Bubba Wallace, he's attacking him for who knows why, for standing up against racism, which is just not the best look right now.
And it just seemed not racially. It just seemed factually inaccurate, Aidan. I mean, he apparently, as far as I've heard, didn't ever see the news because it was someone from his team that reported it, and he never actually ended up seeing it in his garage. So to blame him for something that he really had nothing to do with, as in he was the one reporting it, that to me is just ridiculous. So big loser.
Oh, yeah. I have two winners. So the first one is Oklahoma University. Oklahoma just landed a 5-star quarterback from high school, Caleb Williams. The future, I think he's going to be the future of the NFL. Yes, you could mark that down here. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a great future quarterback in the NFL. I'm not going to say he's a Pat Mahomes or anything, but I think Caleb Williams could be the guy in the NFL. And my second winner is sport fans this week. UFC 251 with 3 title fights, the MLB releasing their schedule, and the NHL finally agreeing to all the new CBA and to return to play protocols.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
We do, Jack.
What? Is it my winner or loser?
You're a loser.
What? I heard 2 spots.
Losers.
Yeah. My loser is it's just different. I just want to go with it. My loser is the Phoenix Suns. There's been rumors that Devin Booker wants out and on a possible trade, so they can lose their franchise player. So that's bad.
I had another loser for this week. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, you should. But when this whole Patrick Mahomes news broke, Of course, the biggest sports news to happen in the past 3 months happened while I was at work for 8.5 hours. So I didn't see until like half an hour later than everyone else.
Hey, just want to, by the way, mention before we go off today, we've got a new college schedule. It just came out a few days ago. So as it looks right now, we will be back in September for on-air radio shows on VIC for Agree to Disagree, which is great news for us. We like doing the Zooms, but I think the radio station is where we're meant to be. So hopefully we can get back to Ithaca soon and we can start doing our shows the way we were meant to do them.
But don't worry, we're going to still do our best to have some sort of YouTube video up for our shows.
Yes.
We haven't figured out how we're going to do it, if we're going to, just film it, if we're going to just record the audio and put that up on YouTube, but something will be there. So we'll figure that out and we'll let you guys know as soon as possible.
Sure.
Other than that, thank you guys for watching. It's been a fun episode. We've had fun doing this with you guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and follow our friends over at 1306 Sports. They got some great content, write some great articles, and watch some sports. Have fun.
Do it.
Do it.
Comes back.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah.